The season began on January 31st at the new Smyrna Speedway with the Mello Yello Fest, a exhibition race that saw Brian Webb go to victory lane. 32 weeks later, 32 races later, we are here on Labor Day weekend for the Mello Yello Southern 500, the finale race of the 2025 Wawa Cup Series. And we come into this 92-lap event with a very tight championship battle. Only 8 points separate Duncan Ward and Daniel Paulus Jr., and 32 points behind sits Kirsten Bell, looking to take advantage of a possible misfortune out of both of those drivers. One of those three will be your Wawa Cup Series champion here today. Who will it be is the question, and we will find out after 92 laps here at the Darlington Raceway on Labor Day Sunday. This is the Mello Yello Southern 500, the finale race of the 2025 Wawa Cup Series. Hello everybody, this is AG here, and welcome to the Darlington Raceway here in Darlington, South Carolina. This is the home of the 2025 Wawa Cup Series finale. And what a season it has been. 31 points races and so many different winners, especially in the last few weeks. And we may see another winner, another new winner here today at the Darlington Raceway. But the main focus is on this Drivers' Championship between Duncan Ward, Daniel Paulus Jr., and Kirsten Bell. As we mentioned, Duncan Ward with an 8-point lead on Daniel Paulus Jr. coming into this race. Paulus only needs those 8 points to tie and win the championship, however, as Paulus holds on to the tiebreaker ahead of Duncan Ward for the amount of wins that he has gotten this season. So 8 positions, it's all it's going to take for Daniel Paulus Jr., and he starts 11 spots ahead of Duncan Ward to start this Southern 500. But this is a very long race. It is a 2-stop race, 125 miles around this narrow Darlington Raceway. And we're going to have to see how it all ends up shaking out for the championship and also for the race victory. Joined alongside Matt Tuck and Nathan Stapleton for the call of this finale race. And Matt, I'm going to start off with you. You have a driver in this championship battle, Daniel Paulus Jr., only 8 points behind. He does start on the outside lane, but it is a long race. What is your feedback to Paulus going into this event in his attempt to win this Wawa Cup Series championship in his third full-time season in the series?
Stay off of Twitter after the race. You know what? I don't know. It's gonna be an interesting race here. We got a better starting spot on paper than the 23. So that's good. But we're on the outside, so that's hopefully it doesn't go like it did in the spring, because if it did and how it went in the spring, then I mean that's unfortunately a death sentence for that. So it should potentially be a fun battle here, maybe. Obviously it's very close, and we start the race sort of ahead of the 8-ball here. But it's going to be interesting, both with the challenge from behind and a lot of drivers in front that I don't think any of us were expecting to watch the 54 and the 23 have to fight through here, and who made the Fast 6 shootout.
And it's going to be a very fascinating race because of that. You actually have 3 uncharted drivers starting in the top 4 positions, as you see right there. But all 3 of these uncharted drivers have run an excellent season. Darian Arnsdorf, Eric Monaco, Carson Miller. Eric Monaco, of course, won the Daytona 500 at the beginning of the season. But Nathan, I'm going to shift over to Duncan Ward and what he needs to do for this race. Another poor qualifying effort for Duncan, but he did win here back in April. What does he need to do to have an opportunity at this Wawa Cup Series championship in his rookie season of the Wawa Cup Series?
Well, all he really needs to do, and it's really more simple than what it really is, and that's keep it clean. Do not hit the wall too many times. Don't be in a position where you hit the wall, get a swipe away slam, and that will extend the pit road time. That will have the crew fix the car, and that will really lose a ton of positions. And you just gotta be clean. Honestly, we know that Team Williams has some really good race cars. They're up there in the owner standings. But for Duncan Wood, this is honestly the biggest race of the season. Even though he's a rookie, this is the biggest race in his Wawa Cup Series career. trying to win the championship and trying to do what I believe Drew Webb and Ludovic Charette did win the championship as a rookie. So, gotta see if it all plays out. And if there's anything like the Sprint Series race, it is not going to be over until the very final lap.
I will say Ludovic Charette was in her second year last year, drove for Andrews Racing in 2023. But, of course, all of these drivers never made a start on the channel prior to 2022. And in Paulus's case, he made the start in the Thanksgiving 500 at the end of the year, and all of those champions and possible champions didn't even start until the Wawa Cup Series in 23. In Duncan Ward's case, did not make a start on the channel until the Sprint Series last year. So a lot of the old guys like Blaine Keys, Nicholas Sambadio, they start in very, very good positions here today. Not in contention for this title, and we'll have to see how it ends up shaking out in 2026 for those drivers. But we got ourselves a very unique race here today. 92 laps, 2 pit stops on the oval. The only other oval race that we have 2 pit stops on is the Coke 600. That race was won by Daniel Paulus Jr. earlier in the season. But Duncan Ward did win here at Darlington back in April in the 400-mile or the 100-mile race that we had here. But it's Darian Arnsdorf who gets to start on the pole position here today, and he's in a battle with Zayden Davidson for the Uncharted Championship. And this is a very big deal because whoever is the highest Uncharted driver will get a full-time reserve for the Wawa Cup Series next year. And of course, tomorrow we're going to start with some announcements of who's going to go where in the 2026 season. And Zayden Davidson, who starts all the way back in the 22nd position, I do believe. It's either 20th or 22nd for Davidson. He's got 35 points ahead of Darian Arnsdorf. And that is including the bonus point that Arnsdorf got for winning this pole position. But Arnsdorf has a very good chance at winning this race here today. If that happens, Zayden Davidson wrecks out. Arnsdorf could steal that Uncharted title and get that reserve for the 2026 season. That's a big deal for those guys in their attempts to make it into the Wawa Cup Series full-time. And I'll be honest, and y'all know, it is a hard thing to do because there's just so many people that want to be a part of it. And we try to do things for you guys. So when the National Series is coming next year, that's going to be a lot of fun once we get to that in 2026. But one more race here in 2025. This is how they line up in the championship standings officially. Duncan Ward, 8 points ahead of Daniel Paulus Jr. Kirsten Bell is 32 points behind. She starts in the 17th position for this race here today. She's going to have to hope for Duncan Ward and Daniel Paulus Jr. to essentially wreck out, fail to finish this race. If that happens, she does have a mathematical chance at winning the title. We're just going to have to see if she can hold on to it. Those are the only 2 drivers who have any mathematical shot at winning the title. Logan Williams is 48 points behind. He could theoretically tie for the points lead, but he would not break that tie with Duncan Ward, as Duncan Ward has more points, more wins, I should say, than the 95. Isaac Nichols, 68 points behind. And we got Travis Crampton, Jack Cos, 90 and 95 behind. Defending champion Ludovic Charette won it last year. This was a big race for her a year ago. 100 points behind for her. A very tough chase for Ludovic Charette. Laura Chung, 101 behind. Our last winner, Avery Alford, 114 behind. Andrew Miller, 117 behind. And Nathan Smith, 142 behind. All 12 of the drivers who made the chase went to victory lane at some point this season. That is impressive. And the past few weeks have seen a new winner this season. We have not had a duplicate winner since Iowa with Nathan Smith. We had Trey Wright. We had Logan Williams, back-to-back wins for Appalachia. We had Roberto Crown Jr. at Daytona and Avery Alford at Homestead last week. Will we see another new winner and maybe even a first-time winner, possibly Darian Arnsdorf or Carson Miller, both of those drivers starting in the top 5? It is Darian Arnsdorf and Eric Monaco, 2 Uncharted drivers starting on the front row for this finale race in the Mello Yello Southern 500. Nicholas Sambadio, the last race for Appalachia Motorsports in the Cup Series here today, starts third alongside teammate Carson Miller. You got the Pacific drivers of Blaine Keys and Thomas Troxel in row at number 3. Blaine Keys trying to right the wrongs of last year in this race when he lost the championship to Ludovic Charette. It's a good opportunity of getting this race victory. Andrew Miller, Travis Crampton make up row number 4. Trey Bartow and last week's winner Avery Alford in row number 5. There is Daniel Paulus Jr. starting in 12th. There is Kirsten Bell starting in 17th. And there's Duncan Ward starting in 23rd. And these drivers, these championship contenders starting mid-pack for this race. It's going to be very fascinating to see where they end up after 92 laps. Let's go ahead and give these drivers a roll off here in the Mello Yello Southern 500. And Matt and then Nathan, who's winning the Southern 500 and who's winning the 2025 Wawa Cup Series Championship?
Well, I'm gonna go against the grain. I'm gonna pick Duncan Ward to win the championship. And the spin the wheel that I have up here to pick the race winner, it says Nicholas Samadio is going to win this race, which honestly, I like that pick anyway.
Well, Matt took my pick, so I'm gonna have to change that. But I do agree. I think Duncan Wood is gonna win this championship here today. And might be a little bit biased, but this is a little bit sentimental, and maybe he can back up with that top 5 at home. Said, give me Travis Crampton, get a Darlington win in the Southern 500, final race as a driver. Been the fast racing for all 3 seasons, and hopefully we give him one more good shot. But it's gonna be a great race here at Darlington for the season finale.
It absolutely will be. It is the last race as drivers for Travis Crampton, Ludovic Charette, Matthew Hubert, Justin Seidel, and also would like to mention Jesse Turner, who will be retiring at the end of the season, the first ever winner on the channel. He'll still be around for special events. This will be his last Wawa Cup Series race, at least according to him at the current moment. But the current moment sees the finale of the Wawa Cup Series. We are here at the Darlington Raceway on Labor Day weekend. Thank you so much for such a great season here. Our 3rd season of the Wawa Cup Series will conclude after 92 laps here in the Mello Yello Southern 500. And lap number 1 will be led by Darian Arnsdorf in the number 11. That's another bonus point towards the championship for him in regards to that uncharted title that he is trying to get. Let's see where Paulus ended up, and he got to that inside lane pretty quick. You see the points as they run in the corner of your screen right now. Duncan Ward holds on to it by just a couple of points, but Paulus is in a very good position right now, trying to make passes on last week's winner of Avery Alford and trying to pull away from Duncan Ward as much as he can. He needs 8 points on that 23. He's got an opportunity of doing so for 2nd place. Here comes Blaine Keys looking to the inside of Nicholas Samadio. Unable to get the run. Nicholas Samadio trying to do all he can to get around Darian Arnsdorf, but how about the uncharted driver trying to get this win for the last race for Grattan Autosport here today in the Wawa Cup Series?
And boy, if it was Darian, like if you came into this race and said Grattan Autosport's going to start on the pole, you'd think Ludovic Charette, but it was Darian Arnsdorf in an unbelievable effort. And we see Blaine Keys. I think this is the guy. I think the 32 and the 59 are the two. Although, honestly, if I get a Blaine Keys, Andrew Miller, and get the proper fight that we didn't get at Rockingham today, I am all for it. But Samadio's got to be careful not to put it in the wall. That's a big hit there. Got to be very, very careful here as Gutierrez just demolished that. Ooh, that's not good for Kirsten Bell.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage there. You cannot have damage going down the pit lane here at Darlington. You were going to fall back. Just ask Blaine Keys. That's what happened to him last year, but sent him back in the field for that race. And Paulus, I tell you, this is going to be tight the way it's running right now. You got 5 positions. That's 5 points. It's a 3-point lead right now for Duncan Ward in the championship. But there are some cars here on this outside lane that Paulus could easily pass. They may end up sliding ahead of Duncan Ward, and Paulus could end up jumping that 23 here in a few laps in terms of the title. Nicholas Samadio and Carson Miller slipping on the outside lane. And they're in pretty tough positions right now. It is hard to get that outside lane to work early on in the race. It's easier to get the outside lane to work in 3 and 4 later on in a run, but then it's much harder in this corner. That's turns 1 and 2, and there is no grip out there on that outside lane, and Carson Miller is finding that out the hard way in the number 50. Back up to the race lead, and that's all you got to do. Blaine Keys has gone to the inside of Darian Arnsdorf, and it's Blaine Keys and Andrew Miller 1-2 right now here in the Southern 500.
And remember what Andrew said in the Thanksgiving 500 last year, that he's going after Blaine Keys. And well, how fitting. In the final race of the season, that's exactly what's going to happen, at least for the time being, with Miller and Keys going at it. Samadio still stuck on the outside lane. And like I said, this is going to come down to the very last lap. It is going to be a tight championship battle between Paulus and Duncan Ward. How about Blaine Keys? It's not been a great season, but it's been a great chase for not being a chase driver. and he's trying to win the Southern 500 here today.
It actually has been a great season for Blaine Keys. The only caveat is that he missed the chase. If he made the chase, he'd be up there. He may even have a shot at the championship here today if that were the case. But, alas, he is not in that position, but I'm pretty sure it's safe to say he won the Cancun Cup. I know you stopped updating the points for that, but I think it's pretty obvious you got that, because Blaine has nearly 100 points on the next driver in line. For the drivers that missed the chase, that's Tanner Parton, who's 14th in the standings. He's 96 points ahead of the number 97 in the standings, and clearing ahead the best of the rest this season here in the Wawa Cup Series for 2025. Darian Arnsdorf trying to make a move on Andrew Miller. Eric Monaco solidifying himself in 4th, and Aaron Abel, I tell you, lost that championship. I mean, he never was ahead of Alexander O to start the race on Friday, but he was in a position to win the title on Friday, ended up falling back and losing it to Alexander O. And of course, what happened with Racing Motorsports last year when Blaine Keys was in championship contention, I'm sure Aaron would love to see Eric Monaco have a good run here today. Got another battle here. Arnsdorf to the inside of Miller, and then behind them, how about Matthew Hubert in the 15 up to the top 5? Hasn't won a Wawa Cup Series race in his career yet. This is the last one he's got as a driver. Going to be an owner next season. I know he's got a chip on his shoulder trying to get it done. Paulus is in the top 10, but still only, well, 6 positions. Now it's actually 4 positions separating Paulus and Duncan Ward right now, so that is a 4-point gap in favor of Duncan Ward. But Ludovic Charette wants to make it hard for the 23. She's going to try to help pursue her teammate, and Ludovic Charette all over the back bumper of Duncan Ward right now as Paulus tries to move up through the field. Good recovery, though, considering he started on the outside lane.
Yeah, definitely didn't go as poorly as I was anticipating. We saw in the spring, it was just absolutely dreadful. And this is where I think, obviously, you're going to need speed for the 54 team to win this championship today. But let's also be honest, you're going to need some of these team guys. Oh, don't do that, Thomas Troxel. That's going to be a potential race ender there. Let's also be real, though. You're going to need some of these teammates of, we'll just say the 51 and the 15. They're going to have to step up a little bit here, too. I mean, it's good for the 15 running up front here. If Duncan Ward gets to the front, is crucial. Need the 6, the 51 to put pressure on the 23 also. So, I mean, there's a lot on the line here. DPJ's been amazing all year, but there's nothing in this chase that shows me flat out on pace, unfortunately, that we can get 8 points on the 23 the way that the math has worked out. But it is a long race. Anything can happen. Anything could happen here. And things that are happening, this battle, we have a 5-car battle here. Matthew Hubert has absolutely chased down all of these front 4 runners.
And Hubert has a very quick car here today, and that's good news for you guys if the losses start, because that means Paulus has a fast car as well. And, Paulus is doing a good job at the moment in that 54 machine. But so is Duncan Ward, and both of these drivers doing exactly what they need to do. The thing is, if you win the race, you get those bonus points. You get 4 more points for winning the race. So you don't necessarily need to have those positions on Duncan Ward if you win the race here today. And Paulus is going to try to do so as he's making a move on Avery Alford, last week's winner at Homestead. What a win for Alford at Homestead. Only 2 career wins in the Wawa Cup Series, both coming at Homestead, but late in the season getting that done for Team Williams. A lot of speed on those Williams machines, and here comes Duncan Ward making a move on Thomas Troxel. It seems like every position Paulus gets, Duncan gets one as well, and they've been about the same number of positions apart from each other this entire run.
Absolutely, and that's why I think it's going to come down to that final lap, because every position that Paulus makes, Ward makes the same, and you gotta see about all of us. We also have this race win, and we got 5 cars under a blanket. Crampton not too far behind, might make it the top 6, and we saw this in the sprint series. It was a 37-lap race on Friday, and this is a 2-stopper. And normally of how Darlington goes, you need a long car as the tires get older. So we gotta see how that plays out as well here today. And once again, how about these uncharted drivers? 2nd and maybe 3rd as Miller gets a little bit of a stripe off turn number 2.
Man, Andrew Miller going to slip back just a little bit. Got to give a huge shout out to both Arnsdorf and Monaco, just keeping up with these guys here today. The highest chase driver in this race is now Travis Crampton in the number 98. This is the last race for Crampton as a driver, going to become an owner next year as well of Triad Racing. We're excited to see that. You guys have a lot of success over there in the truck series. Here comes Paulus going to make a move on Andrew Miller. That 54 is locked in here today at Darlington Raceway. A lot of speed in that machine. And you guys at Grattan Autosport last year went 1-2 in this race with Ludovic Charette. And, of course, you finishing second there, Matt. And you guys seem to have a lot of pace in the Velocitar cars here today as well. But you also got a lot of pace in that 11 for Grattan Autosport. And like I said, this is the last race for Grattan Autosport proper. Of course, GRT as a whole is not going anywhere, but Stewart's proper team will be closing up shop at the end of today's race. And I know Stewart would love to get one more win for this team before the season ends. And Arnsdorf may just be that driver here today at the Darlington Raceway.
Sometimes forget. I would like to take a moment. It is the 1-year anniversary of, I feel like, what has been the biggest 1-2 teammate beatdown in Wawa Cup Series history. Absolutely cinema still a year later. Darian Arnsdorf, though, wants to duplicate some of that. And, you know, we know he's had pace in this 11, especially on the road courses. He's very strong, but this is the strongest performance that he has put in on an oval this season, and it could not come at a bigger time here in his team's final race. He's going toe-to-toe with Blaine Keys. Matthew Hubert is still rolling in. The 54 is, let's see, at the stripe. How much closer is he now to Travis Cramston? I mean, he got around the 45, so I mean, we'll just see how the cards roll out. I mean, he's on pace. He's on pace to get ahead of Duncan. It's just I don't know if the cards are going to fall with enough cars stuffing themselves between him and the 50 or in him and the 23. But a lot of great battles here. A lot of fast cars here. And there'll be a lot of strategy options open. Matthew Hubert got a huge run that lap.
Yeah, Hubert's got a really quick car, and so does Paul. So you guys have a lot of speed in those Velocitar cars here today. Duncan Ward there is still 11th. It is now a 2-point lead for Duncan Ward the way they currently run. But if they keep that same gap and Paulus takes the lead, Paulus is going to switch over to taking the championship lead based on winning this race and getting the bonus points that you get for winning a race. Ludovic Shred is still behind Duncan Ward right here. And you probably know that on the radio, Ludovic's getting the message of, hey, try to get this 23 on the outside lane, let him fall back so that Paulus can pull away in the title. But Duncan is going to make one for himself right there to the inside of Eric Monaco. Monaco slipping back now on the 45. Tough break for him right there. Darian Arnsdorf, he's been hanging with these guys, but Matthew Hubert's hanging even stronger right here to the inside for the second position in 3 and 4. A little bit tougher to get that inside lane to work in 3 and 4, but it looks like Hubert's going to get it to work. And Matthew Hubert up to the second position. One driver left to get to the race lead, and that's Blaine Keys, who's led the most laps so far here in this Mello Yello Southern 500.
And you know, we've been on a trend here in the Wawa Cup Series where drivers have gotten the first win on the season. And could that happen again? And could we have a first-time driver get a win, or get a driver get the first win in his final driving start? And Matthew was very, very close so many times so far, and he might be in position to do so, but no one's had a better car than Blaine Keys. No one's been able to pass that 32 once he got out front in clean air. But we gotta see what this 15 can do. The 1598, 54 look very strong here on the long one, and a bunch of Fords look very strong here. But we are coming up to the first of 2 pit stops here in about 10-15 laps, I think, here in the Southern 500.
We'll have to see how that ends up shaking out. You got to be really careful in the pit lane here at Darlington. Matthew Hubert just drove right up to the bumper of Blaine Keys right there. Got to get around him. It's one thing to catch up to a guy. It's another thing to pass him. This is a difficult place to make a pass, especially once the tires wear out the end of a run. But Hubert's got a ton of speed in this 15 machine. Will he have the advantage on Blaine Keys? It might bring Arnsdorf back into the mix. He's still very much in the fray to win this Southern 500 here today as well. This is a crown jewel event. You want to win this race. And Logan Williams won in 23. Ludovic Schredt won it last year. Who's going to get it done this year? Speaking of that uncharted championship, you got Darian Arnsdorf in the position he is in third. And looking for the 00 of Zayden Davidson. And he's still holding on. 25th right now. That's, if he finishes top 30, he's got it made. But he's 25th right now. He's got to be careful not to slip back too much in order to get that reserve for the 2026 season. Nicholas Samadeo fell back quite a bit. So did Thomas Troxel. They're just about inside the top 20 at the moment. Duncan Ward trying to hold off Ludovic Schredt right here. And Ludovic's been behind this 23 pretty much this entire race. But the cycle of pit stops is going to be crucial. Who's going to get the advantage? And if this thing stays green like it did last year, what strategy is going to work out better? Do you want to come down later and let those tires work in your favor later on in the run? That's the big question. Tire wear very significant here at the Darlington Raceway.
I think putting on the crew chief hat here, I think you want to over-under. And you probably want to run a touch over on the first stint. But you definitely depend, and again, some of this can depend on where you are on the racetrack as well. But I think later in the race, you are going to want to undercut, and you're just going to want to go out there and run as fast a laps as you possibly can. Kind of interesting. Carson Miller, you got a tip of the cap to Carson Miller. He has had some runs this year. He's not, I don't think, we'll see if he gets a win today. He's had some unbelievable runs this year, and definitely looking forward to seeing him compete next year. Alfred, I mean, this is the kind of thing, saying, gotta help your teammate out. He's battling the 86 there, which is what Team Williams needs him to do. They're kind of in a gridlock, though, at the moment. It's tricky to pass here on these older tires, and we're still, I mean, we're, what, 10 laps or so out from another pit or first cycle of the day starting
about
here?
Five.
So,
about 5.
Oh, no, we're closing. We're closing in quickly here.
And everyone is closing in quickly on Blaine Keys, and that point in the race where the tires are just so worn, hard to get an advantage on a driver ahead of you. But you can still close up to a guy, and now Paul's at the back of this line within a half a second of our race leader. And that is not at all what Duncan Orr wants to see. Duncan is about 4.5 seconds off of Paulus in this race right now. And for the race lead, Matthew Hubert to the inside of Blaine Keys, and Matthew Hubert's going to take it away here on lap 31. Our third different leader of the day, and Matthew Hubert trying to get a win in his final race as a driver in the Wawa Cup Series.
A fantastic one right there, as we got Bow for 4th, then Crampton and Paulus Jr. These two can keep it clean off of turn number 2, but both of them are going to do a lot of ground on the top 3, and Hubert out front. The top 3, I believe, are the 3 that I've led up to this point. And we gotta see what ends up happening with these pit stops, because right now this has a green flag feel to it, and if it does stay green for the entire race, strategy is gonna win this thing. You can have a good car, but doing the right strategy, undercut or overcut, will make or break the race and this championship.
Well, Duncan Ward. Well, here we go.
Here
Cycle's going to begin, and Paulus looking to go with the over right here as the top 3 come down the pit lane. This is right about that third-way mark of the race. It is a little bit past the third-way mark. It is a guaranteed 2-stop if this thing stays green. It's a big question right there. It's a difficult pit lane to enter, and these guys have to be careful in their attempts to come down the pit lane. Paulus is going to get a lap led right there. That is a big deal, because that's 1 point that Duncan Ward does not have yet in this race, so that means only 7 spots ahead with work for Paulus at the current moment. And he's going to stay over again. So he's actually trying to hope that this thing goes green the whole way through. But Duncan's also going to take that same strategy. He does not want Paulus to get any advantage on him. And they're both still out there, running 1-2 at the current moment. There's Arnsdorf in the 11, still on the pit lane. And takes us a slow pit lane here. Matthew Hubert there in the 15 machine, going to get out ahead of Blaine, going to get out ahead of Arnsdorf, and Hubert will win the race off with the first set of drivers right there. And expect Paulus to come down right here. Duncan Warlanovic's red. Bernardo de Oliveira is currently in the second position. And what Paulus did right there was keep Duncan Ward from staying out and leading a lap himself. So that's a big strategy right there in that regard. 2 DeWalt cars right there. How's it going for you in the DeWalt Cup Series, man? Went pretty well for you at Talladega the other day. And it's an interesting championship over there. But we got an interesting championship over here in the Wawa Cup Series. We got a yellow on the racetrack, and Bryce Egan around in turn number 3.
That's what I was worried about.
This is going to cycle through. Since it was at the end of the cycle, everyone's going to cycle back through here. Paulus is actually in a very good position because of that. So he's going to be able to stay up front once it all cycles through here. And staying out is what you need to do here at the Darlington Raceway when they have situations like that occur. It looks like it was a minor incident there with Bryce Egan going around in the back of the field. Paulus will beat out the 23 of Duncan Ward. And this is unfortunately going to hurt guys like Hubert and Keys. Now, they're still going to very much be in contention for this win. Actually, might actually be ahead of those guys. Now, Paulus is going to be your race leader once this is all said and done, I do believe. I think Crampton and Nichols right here. All these guys are actually racing back to the line since they did cross the line next time around. Either that or just waiting to catch up to the pace car right there. But this worked out in your favor, Matt. Paulus is going to be the race leader now after this cycle. And everyone's still going to have another cycle of pit stops left to go. So this race just got interesting, and we're going to have ourselves a restart here in this Mello Yello Southern 500.
Yeah, I mean, nothing works out until it's all said and done and official. That is 15. That's tough. I think he had the car to win the race here the way he was pacing early on to pass Blaine Keys on old tires. And unironically, the guy who's trying to help carry him to a chip in DeWalt Cup Series, as soon as you mentioned that, just kind of curbed his enthusiasm here of having a shot for the win. So I mean, we'll see if he can rebound it. You know, good amount of the race left. That's maybe we. Oh, I think Bryce had some help
for him. Let's see here. Be 23rd in line for Hubert and Keys, and still a long race, and they absolutely have the cars to work through the field, but it's going to hurt them in the long term, unfortunately. But it's not going to hurt Paulus and Duncan Ward, our two championship contenders, who are going to be first and third on the restart here. Duncan Ward's going to have Crampton behind him, Isaac Nichols, Ludovic Charette, Laura Chung, Avery Alford, Nathan Smith. A lot of strong cars right behind that 23. This race is going to get interesting. First of all, let's see what happens when I got the first caution of the day here in the Mello Yello Southern 500 at Darlington. And then we'll get back to racing with Daniel Paulus Jr. trying to win this championship here in the Wawa Cup Series for 2025. Well, this is one of the big issues that we have here at Darlington Raceway, that merge point. Darian Arnsdorf coming back onto the racetrack, and Bryce Egan looking to come down the pit lane. And then bam, right into each other in the turn number 3. And they had it saved at that point. And then Egan, oh my, came back down on Arnsdorf. And both in the outside wall, and Egan going around enough to trigger the yellow flag. It was after the cycle, but this is going to put Matthew Hubert, Blaine Keys, and the like, who came down the first couple of laps to the back of the field for this restart. And going to give Daniel Paulus Jr. the race lead. Going to give him an opportunity at this championship. We'll see how it ends up shaking out for him. But Bryce Egan, tough break for Bryce Egan. He's another driver who's going to be in a new home next year. Trackhouse Racing also not returning for 2026. So I'm sure that he'll be happy once this day is over and on to a new team for the next season.
And I don't really know quite what these two were doing, but Arnsdorf banged into the 9, and then I don't know what Bryce Egan thought was going to happen there, but he's going to spin around. And his boss in the DeWalt Cup Series is not going to be particularly happy in the Monday morning vision meeting, because he just got absolutely bamboozled out of a great opportunity to go for his first win here, unfortunately.
He will still be on the lead lap, but he's going to be back in 22nd. And it's going to be his teammate, who played the strategy fairly well. Daniel Paulus Jr. leading this field here in the number 54, trying to win this Wawa Cup Series Championship. Let's see what he does on the restart here in the Mello Yello Southern 500. We are back here at the Darlington Raceway, Darlington, South Carolina, for the finale of the 2025 season. And a late pit cycle caution going to shake things up front. Our two championship contenders are first and third. Daniel Paulus Jr. leading this field. And he's got 2 spots ahead of the 23, plus the 4 that he gets for winning the race and the 1 that he gets for leading a lap. If they remain in that position and Paulus leads the most laps in this race, Paulus would tie Duncan Ward in the standings and win the championship. So it's not over yet for Daniel Paulus Jr. in any way imaginable, and you see the points as they run there, the corner of your screen. How about Bernardo de Oliveira running second in the Zero Machine? He stayed out as well with Paulus and Duncan Ward, who is third right now, but then a lot of great cars behind Duncan. You got Travis Crampton in fourth, Isaac Nichols in fifth, Ludovic Charette is sixth, Laura Chung, Avery Alford, Nathan Smith, and Carson Miller. You do have Brad Stover in the middle there ahead of Duncan Ward. That might play into the favor of Daniel Paulus Jr. That caution did not come into the favor of Matthew Hubert, Blaine Keys, Jack Haas, and the like. They are still on the lead lap, but they're all the way back 22nd and further in the field. Darian Arnstorff, I believe, and we have not seen the replay on our end, but he's a lap down in 40th, and unfortunately that is going to seal the Uncharted Championship. Such a tough break for Arnstorff. It had a car who could have won the race here today in the Southern 500. Going to start lap 40 of 92 as Daniel Paulus Jr. leads the field here at the Darlington Raceway, and Duncan Ward's got to make quick work of the 78, or otherwise he's going to be swarmed, and Paulus is going to take the championship lead.
Yeah, this is a big restart here. I mean, this is a big restart for a lot of people.
Oh, here we go for the race lead. And Bernardo de Oliveira looking to steal one as well. He's never won in the Wawa Cup Series. To the inside of Daniel Paulus Jr. for the top position. Duncan Ward's going to clear Brad Stover. And Travis Crampton trying to make the inside lane work in the 78. And de Oliveira's going to make the pass on Paulus. And here comes Duncan Ward's going to pass his 54. And Bernardo de Oliveira out front here in the Mello Yello Southern 500.
This is crucial for the championship for Daniel Paulus Jr. He is going to be stuck on the inside lane if he does not get a one off turn 4 and gets past the 78 again. There's a little bit of a gap back there between the 20 and the 13.
He will clear.
And he does get good one.
He will clear that 78. That's a big moment for Paulus. That could have been a lot worse. Crampton trying to get around Stover for the race lead. Duncan Ward to the inside of Bernardo de Oliveira. And Duncan Ward won here in April, looking to get his 5th win of the season. Looking to win this Wawa Cup Series Championship. Trying to take this away from the Zero Machine here on lap 42. He's going to clear, and Duncan Ward now out front. This is going to negate that bonus point that Paulus had, so they're back on even ground, and Paulus still needs to finish 8 positions ahead of Duncan Ward unless he gets the race victory. But Paul's still very much in the mix for this win as well, trying to close back in on de Oliveira. Crampton still stuck behind Brad Stover. Finally going to get a run to the inside, going to slam that 78 in the outside wall. There goes Nichols, there goes Charette, there goes Alfred and Nathan Smith all around the 78 machine. And we got a lot of strong drivers up front now here in this Mello Yello Southern 500.
I gotta be careful here. Some of these guys have just absolutely demolished the turn 2 outside wall today. Feels a little more than normal here. Here comes Nichols in the 6, looking to put the 98 to the outside. Don't hit. Oh, not too bad, but not that 78. It's glued to the wall right now, and not in a good way here. Arnstorff, that is so unfortunate because his car is moving. Kirsten Bell had something happen. So did Matthew Huber. I don't know what happened during that.
Back of the field, he got shoved to the back there.
Goodness.
I don't know if there's something to miss on that 15 or what, but that is not normal for a car that was leading this field. Now down in the 35th position. And that's not a mechanical issue. As for second, his teammate, Paulus Jr. to the inside of de Oliveira. And isn't it fitting, the two drivers who are leading this championship 1-2 right now, Duncan Ward and Daniel Paulus Jr., Paulus is going to have Duncan Ward slip back further, and if this race stays green, I don't know if that's going to necessarily happen, but he does have friends. Isaac Nichols, Ludovic Charette, Nathan Smith, all under the GRT banner, all with a good shot at winning this race. Nathan Smith was runner-up here at Darlington in April. There goes Ludovic to the inside of Isaac Nichols. That is for the 4th position. And Ludovic Charette trying to get one more win as a driver before her career runs out as a driver and becomes an owner next season. Great run for there to the inside of Isaac Nichols. And it's not over yet for any of these drivers who are top 10. And an issue on Carson Miller. Tire down on the 50 machine. I don't know if he's going to get back around. They're swarming him back in there. How about Jack Haas making some moves right there? They got to be careful going into the corner right here. Somehow they managed to keep it. Yellow is out, though.
Oh, on the caution.
Yellow is out as Carson Miller is stopped on the racetrack. Just past the restart zone. And now this race is going to get very interesting.
Race with 2 yellows. My goodness.
Did someone say chaos in the season finale? Because that's what we are having.
Someone say NASCAR Xfinity Series?
We don't have any Austin Hill equivalent in this series. Everyone actually is a pretty good driver here for the most part.
True.
Duncan Ward leads this field, but now what do you do? Because you are still going to have to make another stop regardless if you decide to come down here or not. And oh my goodness.
Actual.
This is going to get very interesting. Very interesting. So Paulus and de Oliveira are hoping for a long run because they're going to have the advantage on the tires if that ends up being the case. I don't know if enough drivers are coming down for that strategy to work. Who knew we'd get to this point in the season and that pit crew rating would be as much of a factor as it is. But Paul's going to try something here to beat that 23. I imagine going to be a 4-tire stop for these drivers, or at least a 2-tire stop to have some sort of an advantage here on this restart to surpass this field and take the lead with everyone still having to go another cycle. So, Daniel Paulus Jr., Bernardo de Oliveira, Avery Alford coming down the pit lane. Going to be right side tires for the 54 and the 0. Crampton also taking that strategy as well in the 98 machine. And it's right sides only for those guys, so they're trying to get a little bit of advantage without losing too much time. It is under caution, so we'll see how it ends up shaking out. They're going to have a lot of cars to pass, though, here on this restart and through the rest of this race. But we were seeing Jack Haas, Blaine Keys start to move through the field right there. And everyone's still going to have to make another stop in this race, so it's going to get very interesting as we still have ourselves over 40 laps to go on this Mello Yello Southern 500. Let's go ahead and see what happened. Bring out the second caution of the day here in the finale race, then get back to racing here at the Darlington Raceway. Now I'm just going to replay this one once, because what brought out the caution was the number 50 machine blowing a tire and then stopping on the front stretch. What ensued after, and almost became a massive, massive issue. I mean, you see Parton and Williams slow down, and then look at the 39 and the 41 right here. Two guys who kind of got caught back because of that caution that happened earlier under the pit cycle, and I thought Cautionmer, and you thought too, Matt, that Cautionmer was just going to slide up into the wall and into the field. Didn't happen. They're all still in this race, but we got some interesting strategy because Paulus came down the pit lane, took right sides. Going to be mired back in the field. We'll see what he does on the restart. Trying to close in on Duncan Ward, trying to have a shot this Wawa Cup Series Championship. We are back here at the Mello Yello Southern 500 finale race of the 2025 season. Duncan Ward leads this field in the 23, with Dovik Charette trying to get her third win of the season and her second in the Mello Yello Southern 500. She is second. Isaac Nichols, Nathan Smith, Laura Chung, Braden Perez. How about Justin Zidell in the top 10? Nicholas Samadio, Nicholas Cameron, and Logan Williams. A lot of guys and a lot of fast cars came down the pit lane, took right side tires, including Daniel Paulus Jr. going to restart 22nd. It's exactly where Hubert was. This is far from over for Paulus and these guys, who are going to be much faster during this run, and they're also going to be able to go longer as well on the pit cycle, and then have the fresher tires at the end of the race if this stays green. Carson Miller got his tire fixed, and he is a lap down, unfortunately, because of that. The race of attrition here at Darlington, if it goes that way, is a very difficult racetrack, and we got 3 different strategies going on right now, essentially. They're all led by Duncan Ward at the current moment, trying to get this championship. He's got it on paper at the moment, but Paulus may have the advantage as this run goes along. It's going to be a very interesting 42 laps to the finish here at the Darlington Raceway. Going to get back underway. And Duncan Ward going to try to get a good advantage here on Ludovic Schrett, but Ludovic could have a very good opportunity of taking this race lead here in just a couple of laps.
It's been an up and down chase for the 51. But obviously this would be a great way to close out her driving career. Shout out to the 2 guys lined up behind her. Nichols has obviously had a fast car. Nathan Smith has had a win. He's covered just about every base here in the chase this season. And here comes Nichols to the inside of the 51. And he's going to try and drag his teammate. And off scoots the 23 for a moment. We'll see if these 3 can settle it out and somebody can go put the 23 under some pressure to keep him close, or we'll find out how this all plays out here.
Definitely going to be a very interesting run, and I'm very intrigued to see what Paulus and the like do here. And no advantage at the moment for these guys, but it will come into effect. Of course, I think they should have gone 4 tires. 2 tires might not be enough, but you see the speed that Paulus has going into the corner there on Carson Miller. There's definitely some bit of an advantage there for Paulus in his attempt to get past these drivers. And they may also be thinking, what if a caution comes out on the pit cycle again? We can stay out later and inherit the race lead. And I think that might have been part of the strategy call, because this race at the moment is going to be wildly unpredictable going to the finish because of those 2 cautions. Ludovic Schrett trying to close back in here on Duncan Ward for the race lead. And really no movement up front at the moment, but Ledovic's got a good opportunity of taking it away from Duncan Ward here. Paul is still there in the 22nd position. We'll see if he can find himself around any of these guys. He got around Trey Barcher right there. Going to try to get a line to the inside of Carson Miller. He's got the Oliveira and Alfred behind him. They're all on that same strategy. It is so hard to make a pass here if you just don't get the right run. Paul's doing all he can to make it work here at the Darlington Raceway.
And with those two cautions, that's really going to be interesting with the whole strategy part of it, because if the drivers stay on that last caution, they can maybe make it to lap 10, lap 12 left in this race, and then whoever that pitted, they can stretch it a little bit longer, maybe 5 to 7 to go, and just gas only. Oh my goodness, that was close right there. And like you said, this whole strategy part of it, it's going to be feeling insane, and who knows, I not be done with having a wreck of all these drivers making mistakes all over the place. That's Pittsburgh, I believe, just hit the outside wall. But right now, Duncan Woods loving a race sees here in the Southern 500, but this is far from over.
I honestly have no clue who's going to win this race at this point. Could be any of these four guys. Could be Laura Chung, who's 5th right now. I mean, how about Brain Perez and Justin Zeidel? This is also his last race in the Wawa Cup Series as a driver. Going to be an owner next season. Here he is running top 10 in this machine here in the Southern 500. He's kind of holding it right now ahead of Nicholas Samadeo, Logan Williams there, and Leonard Kochmer. They just stayed out, and they're kind of on the same strategy as the race leaders. So they will have to come in the pit lane in sooner time. And 54 got stuck on the outside, and it's something that you cannot do if you're this far back in the field, is get stuck in that outside lane. I don't think he's got any damage, but this is not working out for Paulus at the current moment with all these lap cars in the way.
Yeah, good job. Yeah, I don't know what the crew chief, I guess the crew chief, we didn't want to win the championship on the crew chief box. Just a terrible pit call here. It's worked out for some of these guys, I guess. I mean, the 13's been able to, he's been able to move up some positions. Which, by the way, Team Williams looking to close out their first ever Constructors Championship here in style.
Ledovic took
and
the
they
race
earned it.
away.
Oh my goodness.
And Ledovic. This is the last race for Grattan Autosport. She wants to get that last win for Grattan Autosport here today as well. So many storylines in terms of who's leaving and what's changing for next season. And I tell you, Ledovic Shred's got a really fast car today. She's just methodically worked her way through the field on that same strategy as Duncan Ward. She's got a good opportunity of getting this win. How will the pit cycle go? That is the big question. And if a caution comes out during the pit cycle, then the favor's going to switch back to Paulus. And considering that we saw one on the first one, it's likely it can happen again. And if that ends up happening, Paulus is going to be in the advantage again. That's what Paulus is going to have to hope for at this point in the race.
A lot of unknowns, and it's far from over, but you mentioned all the storylines with people leaving and coming owners and stuff. It's going to be really interesting of how 2026 season is going to work out. But we still got 33 laps to go as Paulus has fallen all the way back to back. I don't know. I don't think he got into the wall, just dropped back all the way, and it's all I believe. I think
happened to Hubert.
Yeah, almost like what happened. I don't know. I do think maybe 4 tires would be better, but not a good middle part one from Team Velocity, unfortunately.
And the strange thing is, a lot of the guys who went on that same strategy are actually getting good runs right now. You got Avery Alford moving his way through the field in the 13 machine. Jack Haas as well. He was actually on a different strategy. We got many different strategies going on, but the Oliveira also got out of that one. Paulus just got shoved out of line, and you can't be back in traffic, but that 54 is behind Rogel Dorn right now. There's something amiss on this 54 machine. Nothing showing on the ticker right there, but just not a normal thing to see. But it is another one of the GRT cars leading this field, and Ledovic Shred holding on to this race lead, and Duncan Ward really at this point, all he needs to do, just make sure he finishes this race, and that 23 machine is going to be in a good position, but still going to be 30 laps to go when we cross the line next time by here in the Mello Yello Southern 500 at Darlington. And seeing very similar to what we saw last year, Ledovic Shred leading this field in the 51, looking to get the Southern 500 for 2 years in a row.
No, it would certainly be very cool for Stewart and the whole group to see Ledovic go out on top, especially given, I mean, a chase that started with very high expectations. I mean, it's been a tire fire on almost every front, but this would be very, very cool for Ledovic to potentially go out for a win if she could hold this off. Back-to-back in the Southern 500 would be one of the more impressive back-to-backs we've ever seen on the channel. But it's going to be a dogfight all the way down to the end. And don't count out Nathan Smith. He ran second here on pace of the 23 in the spring. He would love to get a shot here at the biggest win of his career. Nichols holding back. And shout out Braden Perez. Millennium Motorsports. It's their final race weekend here. They've been around for, they've been here for a bit. And this would be really cool if Braden could steal this in the Southern 500. That would be an unbelievable upset and a storybook ending for that team.
It absolutely would be. Only one win in the Wawa Cup Series for those guys. They came at Bristol last year with Gutierrez. And, questions surrounding where Perez is going to go next year. Gutierrez, they're going to be free agents as well. One of the two few guys who I think are going to remain at their teams is going to be Duncan Ward and Daniel Paulus Jr. next year. Probably the guys at Parker Davis going to stay the same. They've had a good season. Who knows? I don't really know that much myself, but we're going to find out here in a few days. Paulus is 10 seconds off in 32nd. Now, he will still cycle ahead of Duncan Ward once the cycle begins, so it's still not over yet. And that unknown of will a caution come out during the pit cycle still looms for these guys here. And they're jamming it up again. This is what keeps happening. Get behind one of these lap cars, and that's Bryce Egan there in the 9 machine holding these guys up. We saw this last year when Gutierrez just held up the entire field, essentially, and the race leaders, and Paulus regaining a lot of that space back, even to Alfred and those guys. So really just kind of all on the same boat right now. De Oliveira is really the only one that's gotten away from all that. He's in the 18th position. But the pit strategy is going to be crucial once we get to that last cycle. And it's going to be very interesting to see who ends up getting this race victory, because I still have no clue who might win it. Ledovic's got the best shot at the moment. So does Duncan Ward. And that's going to seal it. I think the tire's down. Tire's down on the 54 of Daniel Paulus Jr. He's going to go a lap down. The caution will come out for a third time today. And what a shame for Paulus and those guys. Just didn't quite have enough to seal it here today at the Darlington Raceway. And that will keep us from having a green flag cycle of pit stops. And everyone's going to be back on the same cycle. And Ludovic Charette going to win the race back to the line here in the Mello Yello Southern 500.
Unfortunately, that's our second tire failure of the day. And unfortunately, that's going to ruin our tire hopes all race long.
And I have a feeling that tire might have been going down the whole time, and it just finally gave out right there. Because he had lost a lot of pace. He's going to get back out there with a fresh set. But the downside is going to be a lap down in the 54 machine, and there's really not going to be any way for him to get that lap back. Such a shame for Paulus. And, we see time and time again in these Wawa Cup Series chases, we see drivers that end up getting an advantage because other drivers have misfortune, and it's happened a lot in the Wawa Cup Series in the past. Paulus really didn't have an issue up until today, and unfortunately that's going to cost him the Wawa Cup Series Championship. Most likely, that's really going to cost him. Trying to get back onto the racetrack, and a lot of frustration there on the 54. He actually might stay on the lead lap somehow in this race. We'll see how that ends up shaking out. But here we go, the last cycle of pit stops, and we got a race victory to crown. And Ludovic Charette wants it. Duncan Ward wants it. Everybody coming down the pit lane right here. This is going to be a very, very interesting race to the finish here in this final race of the season. Lane keys there in the 32 machine. Ludovic Charette going to get off right here. Going to be a busy pit lane for the exit. Ludovic Charette's got a huge opportunity at getting this win in the last race for Grattan Autosport, but a little bit of a slow stop for the 51, and it's going to be Duncan Ward who wins the race off the pit lane. Laura Chung, Nathan Smith, Isaac Nichols, and Nicholas Sambadio has rebounded back up to 5th. Going to be a very fun race to the finish because we're not going to have ourselves any more pit stops left to go on this race. Duncan Ward, while he's pretty much in position to win the title, he still has to be careful. And he might still get this race victory, but there's a lot of hungry guys behind him who have a very good opportunity at getting the win here today. Let's go ahead and see what happened to bring out the caution here in the Mello Yello Southern 500 to get back to racing. Duncan Ward, your race leader here. As We're going to have about 20 laps to go when we restart here in the Mello Yello Southern 500. And tough break for Daniel Paulus Jr. in the 54. Tire going down just like Carson Miller. And he got shuffled out of line there in the back of the field. He got stuck in the outside lane, and that's the price that you pay if you don't have that strategy work out. And ultimately, it wouldn't have mattered. That tire was going to go down anyway. Tough break for Daniel Paulus Jr. Had such a great season. At one point, we thought that Paulus was going to win more than 6 races this season. Who knew that Atlanta would be his last win of the season? But I know that he's going to come back strong next season with you guys. And he's going to definitely be a threat to win a lot of races in the 2026 season. And especially considering that we got guys like Ludovic, Travis Crampton retiring here from the series. We give an opportunity to him. But Duncan Ward now in full control to win this title. He is going to be your race leader on the restart as well. Let's see what he does on said restart here on the Mello Yello Southern 500. We're back here in the Mello Yello Southern 500. And such a tough break for Paulus in the 54, but it's going to happen. This game doesn't owe you anything, and it giveth and taketh away. And Duncan Ward leading this field in the 23, looking to get his 5th win of the season, looking to win the Wawa Cup Series Championship. It's looking pretty good for him at the moment, though it is still not over yet. And he's got to be careful not to get taken out in this race, which is still a possibility with 20 laps to go. A lot of hungry drivers behind him. Laura Chung, Nathan Smith, Isaac Nichols, Nicholas Samadeo, the top 5. Paul's still a lap down, hoping that something happens to Duncan Ward in these last 20 laps. There's still a slim chance that could happen. Happen to Paulus, might happen to Duncan. Blaine Keys, the 6th. Braden Perez, Leonard Kochmer, Ludovic Schredt, and Drew Webb. 2023 champion, the top 10. Another interesting free agency move that's going to happen with Drew Webb, because I don't think he's obviously not going to come back to Grattan because they're closing doors. It's very interesting for those guys. Paulus is a lap down, but he is the first driver a lap down. Has a shot at getting his lap back. If another caution comes out, he could get back on the lead lap in that regard. But regardless of the fact, it's the last 20 laps of the season. Thank you all so much for such a great season. Once again, this is a seriously fun league to do. Y'all make it what it is. Let's hope these last 20 laps of the season are a lot of fun for this race victory. Duncan Ward going to lead us off with 20 laps to go here in the finale of the 2025 season.
Oh, my bad. No, you're good.
From Duncan, and I don't want to jinx it because I've done that enough this season. But for Daniel Paulus Jr., he could still. Maybe if he has enough speed, and never mind,
let's just not.
Enough speed,
let's just not.
Something could happen to Duncan Ward. We've seen it before, and that's what the 54 is hoping. Something needs to happen to Duncan Ward. But it's gonna be a good finish for this race win. We still got underdog stories like Lord Chun, like both Parker Davis Racing Enterprises cars, and Sam Deal. Brian Perez and the Kochmer, and Blaine Keys back up front. And Blaine Keys, he disappeared in the middle point, but he's back inside the top 5 late in this one.
And Blaine's got an opportunity of winning this race as well, but Duncan Ward's in the best position out front here at Darlington Raceway. So all these guys have fresh tires. Nathan Smith was the runner-up in this race back in April, and he's going to the inside for second on Laura Chung. Trying to get a shot at this race victory. Laura Chung almost hit the wall, came back down, almost got into Nathan Smith in return. Isaac Nichols in position. Here comes Blaine Keys in the 32 machine. We're going to have a great fight for this finish. Nicholas Samadeo there in 6th. Ludovic Schredt trying to rebound from the bad pit stop. She's 8th right now. Perez going to slip back in the 44 machine. Tough break there for Perez. And you got Drew Webb there in the 18 machine. Trying to get a top 10 here in the last race for Grattan Autosport. But Duncan Ward half second ahead of Nathan Smith, and it's deja vu all over again, just like how it was back in April, with Duncan Ward and Nathan Smith dominating this race. They're 1-2 once again here at the Darlington Raceway.
Yeah, they are 1-2 just as they were a few months ago. A few different challengers behind them. I don't know how Leonard Kochmer, not too long ago it looked like Leonard Kochmer was going to throw the greatest dive bomb in the history of Darlington Raceway. He's in 7th. Shout out Drew Webb. He's in 9th. running very strong here. A great late season resurgence, and I hope to see him stay on the grid next year. He's definitely, when he's locked in, he's been amazing. Does Nathan Smith have what it takes to reverse what we saw in the spring? They're definitely going to catch the lapper of the 54. They might catch the lap car of the 9. We will see how this is going to play out here over these final laps.
I don't know if they are going to catch any lap traffic in this race here. We're closing out here, about 15 laps to go. It might just be who has the fastest car at the end of this thing, and Nathan Smith closing in quite a bit on this 23 machine. Both the Parker Davis cars looking very strong here today. And we're just going to have to see if they have anything for Duncan Ward here late in the going. Nathan Smith's got to run to the inside. Will he be able to peek it down to the inside off the exit of the corner? Not going to do it quite yet. But that 06 looks to have much more speed at this point in the race compared to the 23.
Going to get one more win for Nathan Smith in that 06 machine. And he might have a good shot late in the going here. Blaine Keys still has a shot in that 32. Top 4 breaking away from everybody. Charlton and Kochner in the 5th position. And how about the Delta Zero? Up inside the top 10 for a uncharted driver here today in the season. Now Nicholas Samuel back inside the top 10 in Appalachian Motorsports final race. And to web a lot of underdog stories, Tampon inside the top 15.
Oh, they will catch up to that 9 was way off the pace.
Oh my goodness.
That was much more off the pace than I thought it was going to be. Tough break for Bryce Egan. He got spun around under that first caution there and slide those guys around just a little bit. It's not over yet for any of these drivers, of course, but gonna hold up Kochmer and Ludovic Schredt right there. I'm wondering if Egan just got a little bit loose off the corner and really had to check up down the backstretch because he seems to be a little bit more back up to speed now in that 9 machine. Duncan Ward still out front in the 23. Nathan Smith, Isaac Nichols, and Blaine Keys. That is the top 4. Of course, Duncan Ward, unless he blows a motor, which even if he does, Pauls is still too far behind to have any chance. That damage with Brian Webb, which could have easily been avoided right there, going to take him out. But Duncan Ward, rookie driver here in the Wawa Cup Series, ran in the Sprint Series last year. And how about Team Williams as a whole? Andrew Williams' organization really has come on strong here, especially late in the going. They got that win with Avery Alford last Sunday at Homestead. And Duncan Ward looking to win this Wawa Cup Series Championship in his rookie season. This is a driver to watch out for future seasons as well. And there's no reason to believe that he's not going anywhere there at Team Williams. And Andrew's found his driver. Completely revamped this whole team going into the 2025 season. Not only is it looking like that Duncan Ward's going to win the Drivers' Championship, but those guys are going to win the Owners' title as well. But will Duncan win this race? Because Nathan Smith, Isaac Nichols, Blaine Keys all on the line again. They're starting to close back in. Nichols has to be careful not to thwart a chance for Nathan Smith in this one to get into the inside of him. It's going to be a close battle because Nathan Smith closing back in here on the 23 machine. I don't think they're going to close up the Paulus. That should be it for lap traffic as we're within 10 laps to go here in the finale for the 2025 season.
Nathan Smith got a knack for showing up in... I kind of got the how Logan Williams shows up at non-traditional ovals and can put it in some powerhouse performances. And Nathan Smith showing up in, again, just strange circumstances, but he's fast here today, and his teammates fast with him. Blaine Keys obviously wants to spoil this party also, who had a very fast car early on in the race, by the way. If that caution with Bryce Egan didn't come out, I think he could have been up here all race,
Nichols is going to
contending
go
for the race win. Here we go.
Nichols thinks he's got the faster car to catch up to the 23 machine. Blaine's going to follow suit as well. So now will Isaac Nichols have a shot at this race victory, trying to beat the champion, or what we presume to be the champion, in the championship race here in the Wawa Cup Series. It's a very good shot that Nichols could pull this one off right here. And Duncan Ward just got to be careful, and there's really nothing that's going to keep him from winning this title at this point. Sabell's too far behind, and Pauls is unfortunately too far behind, so he can really race it out and try to go for it, but will he get it? That's the big question. Isaac Nichols trying to close in. Going to be 5 laps to go. Next time by in the 2025 Wawa Cup Series season here in this Mello Yello Southern 500. Blaine Keys running third right there, trying to get one last win in the season, trying to get his third win of the season. Nichols trying to get his third win of the season. So is Nathan Smith. Nichols with a huge run on the 23, and this is the closest anyone's been in the 23 since we ran into lap traffic. Nichols looking to the inside, trying to get a shot on Duncan Ward for this top position. Can't quite get it yet, but the number 6 looks to have the fastest car at the current moment here at the Darlington Raceway.
This is far from over for the race win. You got some of the best all season long battling for the win, and I gotta agree with you, man. I think if Blaine Keys can get clear of the 6, I think he could have a shot at Duncan Wood in the 23. Gonna try and go side by side here, but not gonna get
Oh, caution's out!
And we got a caution.
Somebody went around in turn number 3, and that will end the race. We're not going to be able to get back. The point of no return would be 4 laps. Don't know who it was that went around there. It may have been LJ Semedo in the 71 in the back of the field right there. Some tire marks going into the corner, and a race of attrition here today at the Darlington Raceway. Waiting for the pace car to catch back around right here. Isaac Nichols there in the second position. Blaine Keys and Nathan Smith, does he have a problem in the 06? Doesn't look like he does, but he's coming down the pit lane right there. Not entirely sure what went wrong with the 06 machine. Logan Williams also in the back of the field coming down in the 95. But we are not going to be able to get this race restarted. That's going to do it for the 2025 season. A wacky race to end the season off here in the Wawa Cup Series. But the best driver showed up here today, and that was Duncan Ward. Did everything right to win this race and win this title. Great race out of all these drivers here today, like Isaac Nichols, Blaine Keys, Ludovic Schredt, and Zayden Davidson. And you just never know what's going to happen in any given race here in the Wawa Cup Series. And that's why this championship is so hard to win. Hard to make the chase to begin with, and then of course you got to be good throughout the chase, and Duncan Ward was good throughout this chase. And Andrew Williams looks like he's going to have himself a champion on his hands here in the Wawa Cup Series. Isaac Nichols there in second. Blaine Keys, Ludovic Schredt, and Zayden Davidson looking to win the Uncharted Championship. And we're excited to see Zayden Davidson in a full-time ride next season because he's had a great season in that 00 machine. And it's going to be a trifecta there for Team Williams as well, because and Laura Chung with a problem in the 20 machine, and that is a legitimate problem for Laura. Absolutely a race of attrition today, and the tires were just being eaten up left and right. And we had multiple tire failures in this race as well. 4 cautions in a race that saw 0 cautions a year ago. You just never know what type of race you're going to get at the Darlington Raceway, but today we had ourselves one that saw a lot of favorites get knocked out.
That's Darlington. Sometimes the tires can get eaten away, and that's what we've seen today. Multiple tire issues, and 2 laps to go here for Duncan Wood, and we'll see if he can make it with 2 laps to go on these tires. But what a race here at Darlington. It was a wild one, but it was a good one here for the season finale.
You never know what's going to happen in these races, and this was definitely one of the wilder races that we have had this season, no doubt about it. Strategy was just all over the place, and that's what makes this race in particular so difficult to win. The Southern 500 is one of the longest races that we run each season, 125 miles. The only other races that are 500 miles or more are the Daytona 500, the Talladega race, and then the Coca-Cola 600. The rest are shorter. Such a difficult race to win, and Duncan Ward is going to sweep Darlington. This is definitely his playground here in the Wawa Cup Series, and it looks like he's going to be your Wawa Cup Series champion here for 2025. It's a tough break for Daniel Paulus Jr. Interesting strategy call, but odds are that tire would have gone out regardless. Would have taken him out of contention. And it's tough when you have an entire chase where you've not had any mechanical issues like that pretty much the entire season in the last race to have it happen, but just the way the game goes, and we all know we've been doing this game for over 10 years. We've seen many things happen, many different scenarios. But Duncan Ward, it was his day here in the Mello Yello Southern 500. And he's going to come around to take the white flag under caution here at the Darlington Raceway. Not only to win the Southern 500, but to win the Wawa Cup Series Championship here in the 2025 season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Credit the Team Williams team. Most of the people, unfortunately, across the board, most of the GRT group, I mean, Shop dropped the ball almost all chase as far as reliability goes. I mean, the 51, the 6, the 06, I think had cars that could have won, or contended. We know the 51 and the 6 could have. Just mech fail, and horrendous pit call to top it off today. Is what it is. Go get him out in the truck series. Cool for Andrew's team. Especially after the down year they had last year. That's definitely it's cool to see them bounce back strong.
And this team's definitely going to be a team to watch out for next season as well. Duncan Ward, of course, imagine be returning to this organization. We're going to find out tomorrow. I think it's going to get really crazy tomorrow. We're going to start announcing all the silly season moves that everyone has been working on behind the scenes. Excited to see where everyone ends up in 2026. It's going to look a lot different next year in terms of who's where, what teams that we have on the grid. We know one thing. This was a great season. Had a lot of great races, and we had a great race to finish this one out. And a wild race at that. But Duncan Ward proved to be the best driver this season here in the 2025 Wawa Cup Series. He's going to come out on top, not only in the race, but in the title as well. And in his rookie season, Duncan Ward for Team Williams is your 2025 Wawa Cup Series champion here today at the Darlington Raceway.
Great job from that entire 23 team. Definitely deserved this championship. And, getting 5 wins in a season is not an easy feat. Only 2 draws this year. It's going to have 5 wins, and that is top 10 points of Dan Polishman and Duncan Woods. So, great job from Duncan. Great job from Andrews Racing, or Team Andrews, I should say.
Team Williams.
Team Williams. I'm getting all tongue-tied.
Hey,
but
I get him confused, too.
But a great job from the entire team. Rebranded, revamped the entire driver lineup. And a great job, and it's kind of funny to see for the second time now a rookie wins the Wawa Cup Series Championship.
And all the champions of this series, as I mentioned, never made a start on the channel prior, essentially, to the 2023 season. None of them made a start prior to the 2023 season, so all these new guys coming in, and you still have the Blaine Keys and the Nicholas Samadios running in the series, but what a class of drivers that we've had over the past couple of years who have just come out and have shown up in these rating series. And, what a race it was. That was very different than what we had last year in the Southern 500. Very different than what we had in the spring race here. But Duncan Ward proved against all that adversity, wasn't caught up in any of it, and just went out there, won this finale race from the 23rd starting position as well. A great run for Duncan Ward here today, and of course it's going to award him the Wawa Cup Series Championship in 2025. Such a tough break for Daniel Paulus Jr., but things like that you just cannot control. And a lot of tire failures in this race. You had Justin Zeidel with a tire going down. Carson Miller also had a tire. Laura Chung had a tire go down. It's a very common thing here today, and such a worn-out surface. You have to make sure you take care of those tires, or otherwise you're going to put yourself in that position, and you just never know what this game's going to give you. And it gave us a very wild race here today to close out the 2025 season.
Yeah, it was definitely all across the board one of the stranger Darlington races we've seen. Just a lot of guys knocking down the outside wall. Saw some guys wreck. I saw Leonard Koshmer and Jack Haas almost attempt generational sins off into turn one. Don't usually see that. That was funny. I cannot lie. Glad it did not end in a big one. And yeah, I mean got you guys up front you expect to see up front. So I mean, hats off to the 23 team. He had a good car today. It's definitely a very strong fight with him and the 51 all season long. And definitely cool for Andrew to win his first Constructors Championship here. And yeah, a cool season too. I have to say it was. It has not been. Well, it has not been in the past 3-4 weeks. It was cool to get to be a part of a lot of races this year in the Wawa Cup Series, more than I've ever been able to.
And of course, Nathan, this is a bit of a bittersweet race for you as well, with Travis Crampton, his last race, Ludovic Charette, her last race. But even through all that, Duncan Ward still came through and won this championship, and Duncan Ward is going to be a threat to win this title for years to come here in the Wawa Cup Series. So, what are your thoughts there on Duncan Ward finally getting it done here? Oh, not finally, but getting it done here in his rookie season of the Wawa Cup Series.
Yeah, you can't really say finally because this is just his first season. But, yeah, it's been a fantastic season here in the Wawa Cup Series, as it always is. And we really saw it in the middle part of the year. It was very competitive, and it really came down to the final race of the chase for the title, and then, of course, the final race of the regular season to make it into said chase. And a fantastic battle. It came down to the very end for the final race of the season, and it was very tight throughout the halfway point of this race. And unfortunately, these tires, I don't know, they just kept on getting cheese grated on this old surface and bit a lot of people here today. And you touched on it, so many drivers are leaving as and being owners next year, like Ludovic, like Justin Seidel, Matthew Hubert, Travis Crampton, just to name a few. And then, of course, some teams are leaving, unfortunately, like Millennium Motorsports, of course, Gwen, Appalachia, Hammer Racing Advisors. So it's going to be a lot of shuffling throughout the entire grid. But I just got to thank Travis for being on the team of NS Racing for all 3 seasons. That 97 changed every season, but Travis stayed in that 98 all 3 years, and we made the chase, I believe, 2 out of 3. So pretty good weight right there. And I'm excited what he does next year as a team owner. And hopefully this is not the last time me and him work together as a combo, and we just gotta see what the future holds. But what a season here in the Wawa Cup Series. Great job from everyone that took part in this, and a great win from Duncan once again. And thank you guys for putting this on once again. A fantastic season, and I cannot wait for all the silly season stuff here tomorrow. And for the next month or so, it's going to be very exciting to see what all the silly season action has in store for the season. And I cannot wait for 2026.
It's definitely going to be a very fun, silly season, no doubt about it. It's going to get silly, no doubt about it. But I think Duncan Ward, Isaac Nichols, those guys probably going to be in their same rides next year. We'll see. Things might move around. We'll just have to see. But we do know that Duncan Ward's a champion. And hey, thank you guys so much for such a great season. And maybe to kind of step back a little bit, this year as a whole in my personal life has been, dare I say, one of the best years of my life. And this has been such a great compliment to that. Being a part of this community for over 10 years is incredible. Obviously, we had the 10-year anniversary back in April, celebrating the 10-year anniversary of the first ever race run on the channel. I've been doing this for over a decade, and I tell you what, I love it so much. You guys are so wonderful, and this whole community means so much to me, and, I'll save all the mushy stuff for, back in April when we did the 10th anniversary race, but thank you all so much for making this series what it is. This is truly one of my favorite projects and favorite series that I've ever done on this channel in the 10-year history. This is definitely the best it's ever been in terms of the quality and in terms of just the interaction that we have. It's so much fun. And at the end of the day, it is just a game. And, you know, while we definitely get a little intense in terms of the championship battles sometimes, and it's all in good fun, of course, I don't mind a little trash talking, it's important to realize how important it is that we have each other. I cannot thank you all enough for being great people in my life, regardless of how good or bad you do in the series. At the end of the day, we all just love this game. We love this community. We love racing. We love each other. And that's ultimately why I've been here for 10 years doing this, and y'all make that what it is. So thank you to each and every one of you for being a part of that. Thank you to all the co-commentators this season as well, and hopefully I get everybody here. Of course, Matt was a part of most of the races this season. He's my Trey Bartow. If you know that, Joe always has Trey Bartow in the booth for the D-Wall Cup Series. I always have Matt Tuck in the booth for the Wawa Cup Series. Of course, Nathan Stapleton. We had Brendan Wilmington in for a race. We also had Josh Williamson in for a race, which was great. Caleb, of course, was a part of it, and a huge thanks to Caleb for all he does on the channel. Echo Evans Rossi was a part of a lot of these races as well. And who else did we have? Stewart, of course. We had Stuart Grattan in the booth for a lot of these races, and hope to continue to have him for many races to come. I don't know if we had Agar this season. I think he may have been in a race earlier on this year, Agar Barreto. Great to have him in the booth whenever we get a chance to have him. And who else did we have here? Who else was in the chat there that we had? That might have been it. Oh, we had Murray. We had Murray in for the Michigan race. I forgot about that. I forgot we had Murray in for his race right there. So great to have Murray Papiani in the booth for this as well. He's always in the booth for the Indy 250. I've known him for over 11 years now. One of my best friends. And, you know, even though you don't see him around too much, he's still a great part of this as well. Well, hey, thank you guys so much for watching here today from the Darlington Raceway. Congratulations to Duncan Ward for winning the 2025 Wawa Cup Series Championship. And we will see you guys in January 30th, for the Mello Yello Smooth Fest from New Smyrna Speedway. It's going to look a lot different. We're going to have some invitational races as well. You probably already saw the form for the first one at Oregon. Going to have some couple others. We'll get to those in a moment. We'll announce them here soon. But we're not done yet with races for these guys. So, you know, Paul still has an opportunity to gain some revenge there from what happened here today. We're going to have some fun with those invitational races. I'll be doing the Light Series, finishing that out, the Body Armor Pro Series as well. Of course, Caleb's got the Truck Series. Nathan, you got the Lenovo Pro Series. Got a lot of great stuff coming up this fall. And we're excited to see how it all goes down as we close in on this year. But thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, huge thanks to Matt Tuck and Nathan Stapleton for joining me here today for this finale race, and congratulations to Duncan Ward, your 2025 Wawa Cup Series champion. Here are the final point standings for the 2025 Wawa Cup Series, and as always, I will see you guys later.